what we do here is go back.
Pretty sure that is the right button. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. Who knows? Good evening everyone. It is Saturday the God knows when of October. 3rd of October. It is Saturday. Totally losing track of days, times, weeks, months, years, etc. How you all doing tonight? Hopefully you're doing well. Well, tonight if you're in the UK, if you're elsewhere throughout the world sphere. Well, good. Cool. I'll start that again. Wherever you are in the world, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are. I have lost the plot already, as it already seems. I can see out of the corner of my eye, Kath is over there absolutely pissing herself. So I do apologise for my lack of professionalism on this wonderful Saturday evening. For those of you that are new to the channel and don't know what this is all about, this is the live stream that we do every Saturday at 9 PM GMT, or GMT +1, whatever the hell it is nowadays. And you may find that there are possible curse words, profanities, possibly some adult content, but it's all in the name of fun and humour, so do bear with us. Hopefully you will enjoy the stream. If you do, don't forget to give a like on your way out or whenever you're about, and all that kind of stuff. Ugly Bob says, is that your third can? No, it's not even the first one yet. So it is customary, or often it's customary when I haven't got a cold or a sore throat, to consume an alcoholic beverage. And tonight's alcoholic beverage is provided from one of our subscribers, Sotenjal, or Cosmic Space Muffin, is that what it is? I always forget. Anyway, all the way from good old Norway. Norwegian. It's somewhere north of Gloucester anyway, so this is a Kanza premium lager Pilsner thing. So we'll be enjoying that very shortly. I suppose we should discuss many of the things that are going on this week, and also, obviously, it is October 2020. We've got many exciting things coming up very shortly from both AMD and Nvidia. Nothing from Intel, but hey, nothing new there. As most of you are probably aware, if you're a long-time subscriber, or even if you're just a newbie, you probably realise that I am pretty much an AMD fanboy, and have been pretty much since, well, probably the mid-90s, when they were the value proposition, but it seems they are trying to shake off that value whole tag thing, really. And this is what potentially could put a real spanner in the works for the upcoming launch of the new 5000 series processors. Yes, you heard it right, the AMD Ryzen 5000 series. There's been lots of confusion and speculation, and actually they could all change again. We don't know until October the 8th, when we get Lisa up on the screen and she tells us what we can expect in the next couple of months. Is it going to be the 5000 series? It does seem that that is most likely at the moment. Most of us were expecting the 4000 series as much as probably up to about a month ago, but there seems to be a few little leaks and snippets of data, which means that most likely it's going to be the 5000 series, to put some kind of segregation between the outgoing 3000 series, the mobile 4000 series, and the new desktop 5000 series. What they're going to do for APUs, Lord only knows, but no doubt we'll be finding out in 5 days' time, which is awesome. I can't wait. I'm super excited. I got my coupons ready. I'm looking for a processor. Honestly, I am super stoked. I've been plodding along my Ryzen 5 3600 in my main video editing rig, and I've got a Ryzen 3100 as well, which I've been using for testing motherboards, which has been fine. It works really well. It's a great little processor, actually, to be completely fair. But it'd be really nice to get my hands onto something really new and a little bit more exciting, because these processors have been out for about a year now and the kind of shine is beginning to wear off of them. So it's going to be really good to see what comes up next. So before we get into this too much, I will go ahead and say hello to those of you that are in the chat this evening. And there seems to be quite a lot of you already, so that's really nice to see. So Mike Games says, early gang, Angry Doge says hello. These are our Discord guys, and if you're on our Discord, you will get a notification of video releases and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to join Discord, have a little bit of a laugh, have a joke, talk with tech, well, talk mostly tech. We do talk a lot of rubbish as well, to be completely honest with you, but that's life. We do. We talk rubbish, we talk tech, we have a good time. So if you want to join us over on the Discord, you can do. Hopefully, Kath will be putting a link in the comments or chat, so you can join us if you want to. Who else we got? So James Miscellaneous, a fellow YouTuber. Sky Stalker is in the house also from good old Canada. Ghost Adder's in the house as well. Ghost Adder and I were watching a little bit of Adamant IT stream earlier, which is actually really interesting. His format, the way he does things, yeah, it's a great channel. If you haven't checked him out already, I strongly suggest you do. It's a really, really interesting, more technical based channel, but certainly you can definitely learn a lot, and yeah, it's just a very, very interesting guy. Paul Bakewell's in the house says hello everybody. Mark M says hi also. Thug Tech Gamer says hello. Says sorry Mike, I can't watch. I know the feeling, I struggle to watch it myself and I'm making it. James smiling, blah blah blah. Who else we got here? Billy K is in the house. Mart M, who also says, can we expect a big price drop for Ryzen 7 3700X? And my answer to that was maybe. It is like that. We really don't know. It's, I would say during, that's a new word I've just made up. Write that one down. During the COVID crisis that we're in at the moment, basically all bets are off. Nobody has got anything to go by. All previous kind of years or whatever's happened previously is basically written off, and we're essentially starting afresh. We don't know what's going to happen. All the processes that we're used to seeing, like stocks ramping up, ramping down, factories opening, ramping up, all that kind of stuff, is, yeah, it's a very fluid situation. So is there going to be much stock actually in the channel available to sell? Who knows? And that is generally what is going to drive prices. Look at what's happened with the Ryzen 3 3300X. Release price, I think, was around about £90 here in the UK, thereabouts, maybe 100, 105. And you'd be lucky if you can pick one up now for less than maybe 140, 150. So those have jacked in price massively. Super, super popular chip, and availability has been very, very scarce. Also, a lot of the other really popular chips even, the Ryzen 5 600AF. Remember what happened with that? That was one that was released at kind of like $85 for a 6-core, 12-thread part, and the prices just went absolutely mental. As soon as people jumped on the bandwagon, it's like, whoa, this is a great processor for the price. Immediately, the price skyrocketed. And that is generally what happens when you find a decent processor at a decent price. It becomes common knowledge, and before long, it isn't a decent price anymore. So,
is it a bit, FPS is a bit low?
What's that?
Is the FPS a bit low?
Is the FPS a bit low? I don't know. Am I? It might be a bit low. I don't know.
You look a little bit stuttery on there.
Am I a bit stuttery? I don't know. I'll have a look in the comments. It may well be. I have been playing around with the camera trying to get things right, so the ISO levels and all that kind of YouTuber stuff is working. Maybe it has reduced the frame rate a little bit. Is that right now?
No, they're saying in the comments.
What?
I don't know about frame rates.
Oh dear. We'll change that in a bit. Hopefully, possibly. So yeah, Sky Stalker agrees. Unlikely, in my honest opinion, it will be a small drop. I think realistically that's what's going to happen. There will be a small drop. Obviously, there are going to be retailers and wholesalers who have got tons and tons of stock of the existing CPUs. When there's something new out, people are always going to want to buy it. Although there may be a slight issue because some of the newer chips may not work, or may not work out of the box with other motherboards such as the B450s and X470s, and possibly some of the newer 500 series without a BIOS flash, which some people just either don't want to do, not interested, or they just want it to work straight away. So who knows? I think this is going to be an interesting one, definitely. There's a very, very long history of motherboards from AMD on the AM4 platform, which all in theory could support the new processors. Whether they will, whether they won't, whether it's going to take a while for BIOS updates to come out, it's, again, we're in uncharted waters, so who knows what's going to happen. Yeah, Skystalk also says it's interesting to see about the choice of the launch time for the 3070 from Nvidia. They've pushed it back to the 29th of October, which is a day after AMD's announcement for Big Navi. So they've got their own back. Basically, the exact opposite happened last time round. and AMD came in and basically price cut them. So maybe Nvidia will do it this time. It is a little bit tit for tat in this market. It's a very, because it's a two-horse race effectively, they're always trying to outdo each other, much like politics and that sort of thing. Politicians always trying to get one up on each other. It's no different with manufacturers and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it is going to be very, very interesting times. It's going to be, I suppose it's going to be less of an issue for those of you in the real budget segment. If you're looking at budget stuff, realistically, I don't think there's going to be much on the table immediately in October. I think realistically that's going to be kind of start of next year, if we're lucky, maybe around about CES time. But for the mid to high range, I think there will be more products available. Obviously, Nvidia have got the 3090, the 3080, the 3070, hopefully should be available. Who knows what's going to happen with the Ryzen 5000 series? They could well have them ready to ship, and they might turn around and say on the 9th of October, say these will be available from your favourite stockists as of 9 AM tomorrow morning. Now that is extremely unlikely, I would say, but I wouldn't rule it out altogether. You never know. And I say, we are in uncharted waters, so anything could happen. But yeah, the chance of a Ryzen 3 entry-level processor coming out on day one, I would say, is minimal. Generally, they tend to release the high-end one, like the Ryzen 9, Ryzen 7, Ryzen 5s, most likely on launch, with the Ryzen 3s and the kind of Athlons and things like that coming out a little bit later on down the line. But who knows? Like I said, uncharted waters, anything can happen, and it generally does. So also we got in the chat, Clint Sam, Tristan G says hello from Seattle. Ugly Bob's in the house as well.
Excuse me.
Kath says, excuse me.
Damn COVID.
COVID. ClickTech Kev's in the house. Also, ClickTech Kev is a fellow YouTuber, so please check out his channel and spread some of that YouTube love in. Mr. Donut Zero says, rolling in. Good evening to you. Who else we got in here? Angry Dojo said hello to. David Aitken says, good evening all. Jabant One. NX Co. Laurie Bick says, I want a 3080. Yeah, and I think there's probably a big queue behind you. I'm probably in front of you, to be honest with you. Actually, it'd be interesting. Of the people that are in the chat, I know this is going to be a very limited demographic, but have any of you in the chat actually managed to get your hands on either a 3090 or a 3080? I still haven't seen one in the wild. I really haven't. What did you... Kath's being rude behind the camera. I do apologise. Very distracting. Captain Meets Adventures is in the house as well. It says, alright unboxers. And hopefully you're going to join me for a drink tonight, because Lord knows I need it. Pelu says hello. And there's lots of you in the chat. Ace Aspect says, any thoughts on how this will affect the 2070 Super, or would the price not change? I think it's, again, similar sort of thing. 2070 is still a pretty sort of reasonable mid-range. I know it's not really mid-range, well, it is to some, but effectively it is a mid-range card, so I can't see the prices changing. The ones that are going to take the biggest hit are going to be the high end, the high rollers. Those are going to be the ones which you will see big price drops, or at least proportionally larger price drops than the kind of lower end and mid-range stuff. Mid-range stuff always tends to hold its value relatively well. Look at graphics cards, for instance, like something, a really old one, like the RX580. RX580 launched roughly around about the sort of 180 price point, went up to about 200 during the kind of the mining craze, then dropped down to about 160, 170, and now even, what's this, 2-3 years later, RX580 is brand new, still around about £150. So there's been quite a few cards come out past that, and the prices pretty much remain the same. Skystalker says, Kath Tutorial, there is some stuttering in the video stream, very clear picture though. Well, can't have it all.
ClickTech's getting as bad as bloody
Very good.
Dave Burns.
Oh, a bit fizzy there. Okay, so who else have we got in here? Ghost Adder says the A520 release kind of slipped me by. Yes, it did. And I think it did pretty much everybody. The A520 isn't a particularly sexy product launch, is it? Let's be completely honest. It is the entry level, the kind of, well, I'm trying to think of the word that we use now, the kind of like, the really low, kind of, not scummy, that's the wrong word, but it is kind of like the entry level. So people don't really get excited about those sort of motherboards. But having said that, I've been having a look at this one this week, the Gigabyte A520MH, which actually one of our Discord members pointed out, that was Seam at Night. He said this is on offer at CCL, so I picked it up. This board is like £53 and 2p delivered, which for £53, I think is an amazing proposition. The A320s, as most of you are probably aware, it's been around for a long time and is basically gone end of life on pretty much most stockists now. They're really not manufacturing them anymore. The A520 is going to be the replacement for those budget boards. And this one's actually really, really good. It's got some really nice features. I did actually manage to overclock my Ryzen 3100 on it, which, yeah, is like, overclocking on an A520 chipset. That's weird. And it is. There is multiplier adjustments, which kind of work-ish, but there is B-clock adjustment, so you can actually overclock it. I managed to get my Ryzen 3100 just all core at 3.8 very, very easily, up from 3.6. So basically it was running at its turbo speed on all cores all the time. And it was a really, really snappy, nice little system. So for budget builders, these things are going to be amazing. Supports NVMe, SSDs, PCI Express Gen 3 only, but realistically, it's an entry-level board, and graphics cards don't really need that PCI Express Gen 4, at least not yet. So still a very, very viable alternative. And what would you rather do? Spend £150 on a motherboard with loads of bells and whistles, or £50 on a board and spend that extra £100 you saved on a much better processor or the next tier graphics card up? This is starting to make a lot of sense nowadays. I don't know what you think about it. Please do let us know in the comments. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are. I've got to be honest, the A320 motherboards that I've done reviews on, I've actually had really, really stellar reviews. So it was really worth me kind of digging in, seeing what they were like. It's actually been quite rewarding. Personally, I'm not sure whether I would possibly spend an extra £10 to £20 and buy a B550 board if I could get one. It really does come down to if you're on a very, very strict budget, or depending where you live. In some places, especially kind of South America and some parts in Europe, it is super, super difficult to get anything at all. So if there's only a few boards on the market or in the shop near where you are, if you're stuck with the choice between like an A520 or maybe an older B450, maybe the A520, Freudian slip there, might actually be the way to go. Skystalker says A520 and Ryzen 3100 sounds like an awesome combo. It totally is. You cannot go wrong. The processor is what, £80, £85 here in the UK. Motherboard, say 55 realistically. So what's that? £140. Throw in 16 gigs of RAM for another £50, £60. £200 for a motherboard, processor, and RAM setup. That is pretty awesome. Like, most people would be spending £200 on the processor alone. The Ryzen 5 3600. We're on about £185 here in the UK at the moment, just for the processor. You still need to buy a motherboard and RAM for that, whereas that, for £200, is an upgrade box ready to go. Totally, really good value. And it flies along, it really does. Zeke Amigo Dual Links says, are they announcing a new APU series? Now that is actually a really good question, and is more relevant to me because obviously having the A520 board, I've got a couple of other Micro HX boards here. I've got the MSI Pro VDH Wi-Fi. I've also got the Phantom Gaming 4. So these kind of boards, and also especially the A520M, really, really is crying out for an APU, a decent APU with like Vega 10 or Vega 11 graphics on it. You can make a killer little combo out of that, but at the moment we're not too sure. Obviously, there are the laptop variants out, the 4000 series, which we've seen out for a couple of months now, and they do really, really well. There is speculation that the 5000 series desktop APUs will possibly not be having much of an upgrade as terms as the Vega onboard graphics goes. We will get a bit more of a boost on the actual performance and productivity for the cores themselves, but the actual graphics cores may not be much of an improvement, which will be a real shame. I would love to see a slightly higher frequency or a little bit more ability in those APUs to really kind of give a definite kind of difference between, well, not a difference I suppose, but to bring them closer to the lower end, things like the RX550. If you could get an APU which would come really close to that, I think it would be a very, very compelling option. Again, especially in those countries where it really is difficult to get hold of any other processor other than kind of APUs or those low-end Ryzen 3s and possibly Ryzen 5s. Oase Saki, I probably said that wrong. And Mike's Unboxing, what GPU should I replace my RX580? The CPU is a Ryzen 5 1600. Now that is, again, until we find out in a couple of days' time what is coming out, well, I suppose later on in the month, that is going to be the real telltale thing. At the moment as it stands, if you ignored the product launches, the upgrade on there with that CPU from the RX580, I would say realistically, probably an RTX 2060. It depends on the resolution you're playing at, but I think probably the 2060 would be a good shout and a definite noticeable upgrade. Maybe even a 1070 on the used market would be a noticeable upgrade. DDog666 says, I feel bad spending £200 on an X570 now. Hey, don't feel bad, it's all good. It all comes down to where you are, what part of the niche you're in, and what your disposable income is. If you want to spend £200 on a motherboard, hey, why not? If you've got the money, the boards are out there, and they certainly are, I wouldn't say value for money, but they do have a little bit of extra panache to them, a little bit more better cooling possibly on the VRMs, a bit more flexibility on fan headers, all those kind of niceties that come with those extra prices. It's like when you're buying a car. You can buy a really cheap ass car for, I don't know, £6,000 and it will get you from A to B. Well, a brand new one.
Oh.
If you buy a brand new car for £6,000 kind of entry level, it'll get you from A to B. It might not have a radio, it might not have central lock-in, it probably won't even have power steering, but it will get you from one place to another. It will get the job done. Whereas you could spend £20,000 on a new car and it will have cruise control, it will have sat-nav, it will have electric seats which might even massage your ass. It will be a much better proposition and a more luxury alternative. And that is essentially where we are with the PC stuff. You can skimp and save and get really cheap ass stuff, which will get the job done. But a lot of us do like luxury and we do like to have our asses massaged as we are playing games or driving our car. So spend the money and get your ass massage. Matthew Day says, will the APU be a generation back as usual? And that's actually a really interesting question. I'm thinking that it probably will be. So I think it'll just be a modified version of the current laptop chips made into the desktop version. It would be really nice to see a 5000 APU actually using the same technology, although I don't think they're quite ready for it as far as the manufacturing process goes, the TSMC's manufacturing node. Until they can get it down to the UV levels, I think they're going to struggle to get the APU on the chips, especially with the increased core counts that we're having at the moment. But who knows, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Welcome to Dress says, hey Kath, I'm fiddling in the background. Got 3 machines running at the moment. Keep messing up the keys. That is a first world problem there, my friend.
Cat cam.
What's that? Somebody wants the cat cam?
I don't call it.
Oh God. Who wants to see the cat cam? The cat is sleeping. Let's see. Cat cam. Flame, smile for the camera. Smile for the beautiful subscribers. Apart from Ugly Bob, because he's not beautiful. Which button is it? I forget. Number 4. Possibly. There we go. Cat cam. Flame. There we go. The world's laziest cat. There's Kath with some hand porn. And as you can see, our cat Flame is currently modelling the TechWare Forge M RGB case, as seen on the the Bristol famous Mike's Unboxing channel. Oh, there we go, he's moving. Yeah,
It's very slow.
he's not dead. It is a bit slow, isn't it? That's Lagovision. It's not on there.
He's being really slow-mo.
Oh, I don't know what's going on there. Right, let's go back. There we go. That's enough. That's enough cuts. Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on with the stream tonight. It's everything's looking good here. So the OBS. Oh god, that is terrible, isn't it? It's jerky as hell. I've just literally, before I started the stream, upgraded to the latest version of OBS. So it could be that. Although, how many frames are we skipping? I can't see. Brushing away. Drop frames is 0.1%. So it could be that. We are at 50 frames per second and the CPU is maxing a bit, so maybe I've over-egged it with this new version of OBS. I do apologise. Crackmatic says, is any jerky when I full screen it? Very glitchy, bad times. Alright, okay, let's tell you what I'll do. I will briefly stop the stream and I'll change the frame rate very quickly. So hold on to your horses. Is that working now? Are we better? See, somebody broke Mike. They did. Ugly Bob says it's me jerky when I'm sober. Nimrod Quimbus says it looks fine in the US. Smakey says it's that brittle dial-up you're on. It is. It's the tin cans at the end of the wire.
It's because you were playing music that the other night, weren't you?
It might have been, yeah. Steve D says, yep, all good. We good now? Is it all perfect? Well, semi-perfect. Flame, what are you saying? We all good? Yeah, I think we're good.
No.
Can you refresh your screen, Kath? Sorry. Skystalker says, I think it looks better. Awesome. Maybe the ass massager is using some of the frames. It's that Norwegian beer making you all jerky. Steve Bell, no drop frames here. Smarky says, yarp. Mart M says, looking fine in the Netherlands. Awesome. Ugly Bob says, he must be on the Portishead Internet Hub. Always dodgy around here. Kev2427 is actually asking a almost sensible question. Is a 3070 usually about 20% better than its predecessor? Yes, a little bit, generally. Someone says blurry now. James Miscellaneous, you might have to, if you're watching this on YouTube, go down to the bottom corner, there's a little cogwheel, and you'll probably find that your cogwheel is changed to auto or to a low resolution. Just click on the cog and change the resolution to 1080p and it should be absolutely fine. Trooper C says, I was thinking of getting a Ryzen 7 3800X for my 2600X on a Steel Legend. Would the board be able to cope? And is that a good upgrade from a 2600? Thank you. Sorry to repost. Sorry, I didn't see it originally. Ryzen 7 3800X on a Steel Legend. You're not showing which one. I'm assuming it's the B450 Steel Legend. Yeah, I think it's okay. I wouldn't be overclocking very much on that because I don't think the VRMs would be overly happy with it. But certainly it is usable, and that board does have a rating of up to the Ryzen 9 3950X. So it will physically work on it, but overclocking and precision boost overclock might be a little bit of a struggle. You would maybe, from a 2600X, I would probably go to the, actually that's a really difficult one. I would probably wait and see what comes out. The Ryzen 7 3800X is probably one of the worst value for money processors there is. The 3700X is the better option. The 3800X is like, what, 100 megahertz faster or something? And unless you actually need the extra cores, I probably wouldn't bother. If you're doing well on the 6 core 12 thread on the 2600X, but you just need it to be a bit faster, then I would possibly wait and see what the 5600X comes out like, because it could be a beast, and it could be about the same price. So hopefully that answers that question. The Giant Killer says, chilling with a beer, watching Mike's unboxing. Not a bad way to spend a Saturday evening. Yeah, not bad. Crackmatic says, it's not blurry, it's fine. It's not blurry, it's just, it's me. James Musanius says, oh yeah, it looks great at 720p. Thank you, Mike. Awesome. ClickTech Kev says, changed mine to 1440p. Much better. Yeah, I bet you can see all the open pores and all that now, can't you? Ugly Bob, lol, at 1414p. It's like watching Mike's unboxing Lego move. Oh yeah, 144p, not 1440p. Smacky says, I'd recommend a X570 board. Now, I was always very, very keen on the X570 boards. They're tough gaming, although people have problems with the memory training on it. I actually find it to be pretty decent after it settled down. But after using some of these B550 boards, and even the A520 board, I'm kind of beginning to question my whole kind of... There's an internal conflict going on for sure. I'm not too... I don't know. It is a really, really weird time. Most of these boards now will do very, very well at the standard settings. So, I don't know, do we really need all the niceties of the X570? The only thing I can see in my personal experience is the fact of the PCI Express Gen 4 for the NVMe drives, which for me actually does make a difference for video editing. When I put two 50 frames per second 1080p clips together on the same timeline in Adobe Premiere, that is a lot of data to be passed around. That's like 100 frames per second over two 1080p's, which, yeah, is quite a chunky file size. So having those drives does make a difference. But I think for most people, playing games, general PC use, I really don't know if PCI Express Gen 4 is really necessary, where it's just one of those incremental jumps. It's not like the jump that we had when we went from hard disk drives to SSDs, which was one of those phenomenal jumps that everyone was like, wow, that does make a difference. These motherboards now, not so much, I don't think. It would actually be interesting to see if AMD are going to announce a new motherboard chipset. It seems extremely unlikely. We haven't heard any whispers, anything at all in that regard. But again, these are uncharted waters, so you never know exactly what's going to happen. Anything could happen. So, yeah. What do you think? Do you guys think there's going to be a new chipset released, or announced at least, on the 8th of October this year? Honestly, I want to know. I'm intrigued to see what your opinions are. I personally don't think it is. I would be very, very surprised. I can't see why they would need one, but yeah, never rule it out. Uh-oh, we buffering? I've got a spinning wheel.
You might have disconnected.
I don't
Mike's
think...
saying play again.
Oh, is it? We still going? On my YouTube studio screen, I've just got the picture of me and there's a spinning wheel. So this may not be working at all, I don't know. Please let me know in the comments if it is. What is going on tonight?
No, because it's doing it on there.
Dave Aikens is still here. Skystalker says you're still on. Awesome. I don't know what is going on with YouTube Studio tonight. It has gone absolutely mental. Is it because I've said lots of things about AMD?
No.
Sorry, Kath, I haven't got any ass for you tonight. It's only Kanza. Ugly Bob says you're still on, dude. Awesome. I haven't seen Dave. Where's Dave? The other Dave.
I've seen him all day.
A Kia Shadow. Ugly Bob says typical YouTuber always blames his laptop. Yeah, I should smash it to pieces. Ultimate Tech Hub says hello everyone. Another YouTuber. Go and show him some YouTube love. ClickTech Kev says no, the camera is frozen, so Kath can come around to the front of the camera without any fear. Yeah, the YouTube Studio thing is still doing some bizarre stuff. I'm going to refresh that page, which possibly is disastrous, but anyway, never mind. Oh, it's refreshing. I think it is actually genuinely broken. Always blame your tools, definitely. Ricardo says, where's Aletta, by the way? Yeah, I know.
Ricardo asking, does write it again. All this PC's gone.
What's
He's
that?
had a sad day.
Oh, Ricardo's out of a sad day.
You missed it right at the beginning.
Oh, sorry. Copy and paste it back in, Ricardo. Dave Aiken says you need to pause the 8K porn download. Yeah, ClickTech says, is Dave streaming tonight? I don't know. We haven't heard from Kia Shadow. He's been very, very quiet the last couple of days, so I don't know. It'll be a shame if he isn't.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
What is it with these personal assistants? They're
Listening. All
obnoxious sods. They really are. When you actually want them to do something, they're like, sorry, I didn't understand that, or sorry, you don't have a connection, or please try again in a few minutes. But then when you don't actually want to do anything, you say something completely unrelated.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Okay. Always listening. Right, Ricardo. Dave Aitken says Dave's washing his beard tonight, nothing personal. Got it. Ultimate Tech Hub says we're shopping for pool patio furniture, lol. Now, if you do want to get some, I know actually a really good place where you can get pool furniture. Oh, what is the site? Where we got the exercise bike from? Kath will find it out now. There is a great site where you can actually get stuff like that at very good prices. And we got a super chat. The RGB bulb of doom is illuminated, which means only one thing, that someone has digged deep into their pockets and or digital wallet and have pulled out a crispy, shiny 10 Canadian dollar bill, and that is Sky Stalker. he's put that for funds for a new watch. Excellent. I don't know what's the matter with this watch. I think it's because, well, Ugly Bob says Armada deals. That is it. Armada deals. Well done. Thank you, Bob. That's how Skynet begins, says Matthew Day. Which is weirdly, I watched Terminator Genesis last night, and that's getting a scarier and scarier movie as days go on. It really is. James Miscellaneous says, watch is talking back, laptop is acting up, YouTube misbehaving, cat sleeping on the job, what's next? I know. It's just incredible what is going on.
It's better the cat does sleep on the job, to be fair.
Oh dear. Yes, I'm mad at deals. Sorry, I should have said that. 5K subscribers without any video challenge. That's something I could do with doing. Ryzen 5000 better than 10th gen at gaming. I would think that's pretty much a given. I think that is, yes, very, very likely. Whether it's actually going to be better or better value, I would say probably both, arguably. I would hate to see AMD try and get rid of that budget alternative by jacking the prices up to make them kind of seem like a equal competitor to Intel, because clearly they're not. Intel is a huge, huge company with millions of pounds just in R&D alone. I think I read that Intel's R&D budget is actually more than AMD's entire cash flow turnover, which just is mind-blowing if you think about it. Although that was about a year ago, so things have changed a lot since then. Ugly Bob says you're getting hacked by the Koreans. Damn Koreans. David Aitken says, have you tried updating the watch boss? Actually, that's what I was going to get onto. I cannot update my Apple Watch 3. It will not let me do it. I have got basically no apps on this thing at all, but it's only like a 4 gig device, and the update says it needs 2.2 gigs of free space, and it hasn't got 2.2 gigs of free space, so it can't be done. So in order for me to do that, I've actually got to erase the entire watch, unpair it from my account, and then start afresh with the new update, which upsets me immensely. Trooper C has thrown in £1 into the kitty, so now we're getting closer to getting that new Apple Watch. Thank you, Trooper C. Appreciate that. Cool. Wouldn't it be good if Apple Watches were like £11 or something? I think everyone would have one.
Can't even get shiny ones for that.
No, yeah, you'd struggle to get one on Wish for that. Ugly Bob says, main reason why I'm an AMD fanboy is always bet on the underdog. Trooper C says, just to see the lights, sorry for the amount. Hey, no worries. Super chats are brilliant because it's a little way of showing that you care, but just by slapping that like button and subscribing to the channel and just commenting on videos, that is absolutely brilliant.
And leaving them running in the background when you go.
Yeah, if you go into your local PC store, maybe go into Newegg or you go to, I'm not sure what the American shops are. In the UK, we've got PC World. If you go into any of those types of places, go to the laptops on display, fire up Mike's Unboxing, hit up a playlist and just leave that sucker playing. Mute the volume if you have to, and then walk out the shop.
No, open a new tab on top.
Oh yeah, open a new tab on top with the Courier's PC World homepage on. They didn't notice it then, it's great. Oh dear. Jack's Lego Production says hello there. Hello Jack. And Tristan G is throwing in $2 into the kitty. He says, okay, I don't have a watch, but I guess you need one. I do need one so I know how late I'm going to be for work or for my YouTube presentations, which is most of the time, to be fair. Thank you very much for the super chat. Best Buy. Thank you, Sky Stalker. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, go into your local Best Buy in Canada or USA. Go in there, get on the laptops, desktops, open up a tab, Mike's Unboxing, jack up a playlist, ideally the live stream ones because they go on for ages. Put another tab in front of it, mute the volume, and just walk out. That's all you need to do. And that will certainly get the views up. James Miscellaneous says, Mike's Unboxing and how to sabotage Best Buy merchandise displays.com.
Look at the one above. No, two above.
Matthew Day says, Apple Watch on Wish. You get a watch strapped onto an Apple. That's probably not too far off the truth, to be honest with you. Gary Haig says, the only Apple product I have is an iPod Classics 160 gig in my car, and that's pants as it keeps crashing. Not the iPod, the car that is. Super chat coming in from David Aiken. They're flying in now. And David Aiken says, because I'm too tight to commit to the upper tiers on Patreon. Bless you, David. Thank you very much. We do appreciate that. Hey, we're getting closer and closer to this Wish iWatch clone. Oh, Trooper C says, I'm 15, so there's my pocket money. Oh, that's so sweet. Bless you. Sotin Joe says, I'm late, but I'm here. Well, better late than never, and we are consuming some of your finest ale. Quite like that one. Yeah, Kath says, hi Sotin Joe, thanks for the beer. Angry Doe says, hello, sorry if I'm not talking in the stream, playing some CSGO with Jax. Now that's unusual for Angry Doe to be playing CSGO. Very, very unusual indeed.
Is he listening to AC/DC or you?
Okay. So, actually, we should talk about what we've been doing this week. And this week's videos, Kath's wrote it down, so I better do it, because she writes down every week what I've done in the week, so I can remember and discuss it. And I always forget. So, first of all, we did the how to remove Bing from Bing from the new Edge browser, which actually, what an absolute cluster F that is. What, I don't know, what are Microsoft thinking? Clearly, for the last 10 years or more, there has been Google. The Google search is basically, if you look in the dictionary on how to search things, it says Google it. That is the name. It comes up in all kinds of popular culture, anything on a TV show, on a film, your friends, it's like, oh, have you seen such and such? Oh no, oh, you should Google it. Or your granny comes up, says, oh, I saw this great thing on Google. It's like, it is synonymous. Everyone knows Google. So when you have a new browser,
Old people do call it Goggle sometimes.
why would you use Bing? Bing search is horrendous. I don't know if it's just me or whether my laptop or whatever it is, it probably is actually. The Edge browser, you type in a search and the Bing results are horrendous. Generally, the first two will be adverts of something else completely different, and then one of them will be like to some sort of malware site. It's like, are you actually shitting me? What are you trying to do? Like, if anyone was trying to get a market share, actually saying that, Microsoft do have a paid-for service for removing viruses and stuff and malware, so maybe that's what it is. They deliberately get Bing to find all that crap on the internet which you don't want, and then they have to charge you to get it off your system. That is the perfect solution. It's like the self-perpetuating income. Anyway, ClickTech Kev, God bless you, Gav. £2, put this towards a nice Riverside holiday. Oh, Riverside. Where is Riverside, Cav? Do we know where that is?
It's just a riverside, isn't it?
Oh, a Riverside or the Riverside. Riverside must be a company, I guess. I don't know. Could do with a holiday. Not allowed out though. Anyway, so Bing search is just horrendous. I hate it. And I hate it more so because I'm pretty much a Microsoft fanboy. I sign up to their accounts, I've got an insider account, I use OneDrive, I use Outlook, all those kinds of things, Office, all that kind of stuff.
Maybe it's because it's got the news on there, it can fill you with fear when you're doing searches.
Yeah, that is what it is. Bing search is horrendous. The news is awful, it's basically all politics. The searches themselves come up with absolute rubbish. Totally not relevant content for what you're searching. So if they're trying to piss off the majority of internet or computer users, or at least the ones who've got half a brain, why would you do it? Why do it to people? It doesn't make any sense at all. If they're trying to win the browser wars and they want to make people use Bing search, make it work. Make it have decent content and accurate content. I really do not know. It's like, yeah, a lot of people will purely use Edge to download Chrome. The first thing they do on a PC, new PC, right, what do we do? Right, first things first, fire up, Edge, go into the Bing, type in Google, and it'll probably bring up like where you can buy glasses or the nearest dog grooming parlor. I was like, just give me the damn Google, please, already. So anyway, enough of my bitching to one side. Essentially, you can, if you go into the kind of the depths of the Edge browser, you can make it so that it does Google searches. And actually, the browser itself, because it's based on Chromium, is actually a really good browser and it is quite fast and responsive. It's just the searches are crap. But by changing a simple thing like making it default to Google searches, it runs absolutely fine. So anyway, yeah, definitely worth trying out. Ricardo says, I love Microsoft Edge, I hate Bing search. Exactly, that is it. The Bing search is horrendous. It genuinely is.
Did you see Ricardo's sad day post?
I didn't know, I still haven't seen it.
You missed it, he did it again.
Oh, Ricardo, Mike, a question. I lost my Mobo and I couldn't remove my Windows license, retail by the way. License is associated to my MS account. Any trouble reinstalling it? You should be alright with that as long as you reinstall using your username. It'll probably ask you to ask a few questions and it might even get you to deactivate your existing PC. You could actually on another PC go into your Microsoft account, go into the computers and remove the other computer, which will give you a better fighting chance of it reactivating. Yes, Kath?
His Mobo died, GAFXA990-UD3 with FX6300 and 8 gig DDR. G-Skill Rituals.
Ricardo's basically had a bad week. Dead motherboard, AMD FX, sad times.
And wrote it in twice and you ignored it.
Sorry, I didn't see it twice. I am rubbish. I really should get a better job. Ugly Bob says, try DuckDuckGo. Lol. Actually, DuckDuckGo isn't too bad. Ricardo says, I'd rather use Yahoo search. Actually, yeah, I think Yahoo search would probably be more accurate than the Bing search. Bing search, it winds me up so much. Bing, actually, to use Bing as a search engine, it looks beautiful. The screen every day is updated, so it looks really nice. If you go into the Bing, kind of the main homepage, you've got a really decent splattering of information, like temperatures and local news and all that kind of stuff, and you've got access, really easy, nice access to your 365 account or using free Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all that stuff from the top menu. It is very functional and it could be so much better. It's just they don't give you that flexibility to say, right, just Bing, just do one. Like, just keep the Bing stuff on the page, but when I type anything in the search bar, don't search for it. Let Google search for it. Hell, let Stevie Wonder search for it in a forest. I don't care. Just, it will probably come up with better results. Honestly, it is horrendous. I really do dislike it. I'm actually tempted to do a live search on Bing now, but I don't think I could cope with it. I think I'd have to take some sort of antidepressants or some kind of stimulant to get me through the whole thing. It's not good. Not good. David Pedri says, hey, I like DDG. DDG's good. Dogpile. Dogpile, there's an old search engine.
What about Alta Vista? Is that a search engine?
Alta Vista? Yeah, that was a good one.
Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves was... No, Ask Jeeves was awful.
I know, but it was...
Oh, dear. Those were bad. Ricardo says, thanks for the answer. Dim problem, as they say over in Wales. Joe Basterfield. Ooh, that was a difficult one. I'm looking to get a Ryzen 5 3600. Good choice. Should I wait to see what the new Ryzen CPUs are going to be priced at before getting one? It depends. This is a really good question, actually. It's one of those things that if you need a PC, you haven't got a PC and you have to use a PC, and you need it right now, then yes, buy it. But if it's maybe a second PC or you don't really need it, you can wait a little bit. Definitely wait, because then you've got all the knowledge. There's no point going into something half-cocked and like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a Ryzen 5 3600 because it's really cool, and then in 2-3 weeks time be like, oh, damn. Also, we've got the Prime Day sales coming on, which I would be amazed if we didn't see at least some reduction in that processor. And what is it? We got, what's the date today? 3rd. So what, we've got 10 days or more. So you'll know what processors are going to be coming out on the 8th. You've got Prime Day on the 13th and 14th. Wait until the 13th or 14th. I would say probably the 14th would be your better bet. Wait till the 2nd day, because that's when you might get the drops. That's not a medical condition, that is the price drops. Definitely worth waiting. If you can wait a week or just over a week, I think that is going to be the sensible solution. If you need it right now, the Ryzen 5 3600 is probably the best bang for buck, although it is starting to get a bit pricey. Again, in the UK, we were seeing prices as low as 150, 155. At the moment, it's like 180, 185, maybe 190 in places. That is a lot of money. That's like 25%-ish. No, about 20% more than what it should be. So you are kind of getting screwed over a little bit on those prices at the moment. But again, if you need it and you can get it for a good, if you can get it for a good price, then hell yeah, jump on it. If you can pay like 160, I can't see the new processors coming in at much less than what the Ryzen 3000 series are. It wouldn't make sense for them to do that because they want to clear the inventory, so they're bound to put a little bit of a price hike on it because it's new technology and people are going to want it. So yeah, depending on what price you're paying and availability, and if you need it now, hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully it answers a lot of you questions, because it kind of even reinforces what's going through my own brain, because I'm looking at my processor, I'm editing my videos, and I'm using the Ryzen 5 3600. I did actually take out my 3600 and put in my Ryzen 7 1700 into my video editing PC, just to just to take it all out again the next day and go back to how it was. But it was, well, it was marginally better for video editing, but not so good in normal tasks. So yeah, it went wrong there. Yeah, what can I say? It is always one of those things. Buying PC stuff is never easy, but at the moment it's particularly difficult. Very difficult, in fact. Mark Griffiths says, evening everyone. Good evening. Hank Axelrod says on Friday. When's Black Friday? On Friday. Good one. Sorry?
You've missed a load again.
I've missed a load. It's not my fault. Joel says, all right, brother, thank you. What have I done? Ricardo says it's up for he's time for an upgrade. Well, this is probably going to be it's a good time to upgrade because there's a lot of new stuff about, but there's not out yet. So we only kind of know about it, or we think we know about it. Trooper C says, what do you think about the Opera browser? Now, I'm going to say something which is probably not very popular. I actually don't like Opera. I don't like the layout of it. It feels a little bit clunky in my opinion. A lot of people love it and swear by it. Personally, I've only used it begrudgingly on a works PC, and I don't enjoy it. I really don't enjoy it. It doesn't seem to be particularly quick. And I found actually, if anything, to actually start up, because there was lots of things going on like tabs and all this other stuff, it did seem very clunky and slow. Maybe it was the PC it was running on. Maybe I should probably have another look at it, but I didn't like it a great deal, if I'm completely honest with you.
Can you answer Smokes?
Can
It's being timed out now, but can you?
can I answer Smokes? I can't because he's been timed out. I can't see what he said.
If you change graphics card, will it stop micro stutters?
No. Smokes has asked the question, if you change your graphics card, will it stop micro stutters? That isn't an easy one to answer, to be honest with you. Micro stutters can be caused by many things, as some of us have found out. Me personally, I've experienced it on various setups. Micro stutters can be caused by lots of things. Generally, it tends to be one of two things. One of which is a driver issue, which can be relatively easily kind of investigated and fixed using DDU. Fresh install the driver, maybe a fresh install of Windows and a fresh install of the driver. If you're still getting the micro stutter then you need to look at the other option, which is what component is causing your stutter. So if you're running, let's think of a good example. So if you've got say a 2060 in your computer and you're running it with a Ryzen 3 1200, you have a bottleneck in your processor. So your graphics card is trying to be fed all these frames, and if you haven't got VSync turned on, you'll find that the graphics card will basically run away with it. So any other processes going on in the system, so your antivirus decides in the background, hey, I need to do an update or a scan, or maybe you've got Discord running in the background and it decides to do something. Basically anything running in the background can cause a little brief millisecond of a CPU spike. So the CPU is like, well, hang on, I need to do this, and it leaves the game to one side. The graphics card is like, hey, come on, where's my graphics? I need some pictures to show. And you get that micro stutter because Windows has diverted its tasks because of a bottleneck. Now it can be because of many things. The graphics card being overly powered for the CPU. The CPU could be doing too many things. It could be the CPU is overpowered for the GPU, in which case the GPU is the bottleneck and you get a micro stutter because your CPU has sent all these instructions to the graphics card. The graphics card's at 99%, 100%, and it has to do something. Maybe it's thermal throttling, maybe it's just overloaded, and that will give you a micro stutter. Essentially, if you've got a very balanced system, or in my personal experience, turning on VSync or lowering the resolution can help massively with micro stutter. But it's one of those things you do need to go through the system, do a little bit of fault finding, do a little bit of your own kind of due diligence, look through your system, maybe empty out your temporary files, defragment your hard drive, trim your SSDs. That sounds really weird. But yeah, that's the kind of thing. If you want to investigate things like that, you're more than welcome to come over to our Discord and we can go through it and try and go through it in like a methodical way and try and work out what is going on. If you let us know what your system is, what spec you've got, you can quite often see that there is some bottleneck somewhere. Quite often, for a lot of us, where we've got an SSD as a boot drive, but maybe a mechanical hard drive as our games drive, those nowadays can tend to be quite a bottleneck, especially games now, higher resolutions, especially 1440p and 4K. You're moving a lot of data around, and for loading maps, especially in your first-person shoot-em-ups where you've got fast frames, lots going on, it's a lot to ask of your system. You can, of course, do Alt-Control-Delete, get Task Manager up, look at system resources, and see if your CPU, your GPU, or your hard drive is spiking. Could even be that your internet is just crapping out, and that is causing a spike because you're playing an online game, your internet's not keeping up with the action, so you get those brief micro stutters where the system tries to synchronize all the digital clocks of all the individual coast systems. So yeah, it can be a bit of a nightmare.
Steve's off to bed.
Steve's off to bed. Good night, Steve. God bless you. Which Steve is that?
Steve D.
Oh my god, I've missed loads of things on here. Markovsky says, every time I use the Opera browser, I just hear the Go Compare guy in my head. Oh. I don't know why that amused me so much, but that was quite funny. Paul B4 UK says, Opera used to be fast years ago, but back then it struggled displaying some sites. Okay. Steve D says, Mark Griffiths, go for GTX 1070. Good card. I do miss my 1070 a great deal. That was an amazing card. What else have I missed on? Simon Arden says, evening, just got on. What have I missed? Rewatch later, it's lol. Simon Arden, for those of you who don't know, posts a load of deals on UK Hot Deals, the site in the UK for picking up tech bargains, and he does post an absolute ton of them. So thank you from all of us for producing some of those bargains, which generally I tend to copy and paste and stick on our Discord. And I think Super Knight does as well.
And I'm banned.
And Calf's banned still. Ricardo says 3 dislikes. Jeez. Yeah, dislikes are a part and parcel of YouTube life. Do you know what? I actually, yes, going back to actually the videos we were doing this week, on Friday.
Sorry.
On Friday, we did the video for the Aerocool Cylon PSU, which, yes, I know it's a cheap power supply, but for some reason it got like loads of dislikes. I don't know why that is. Is it because I'm so happy to use one, or is it because people don't like this Aerocool brand? Is this like PSU snobbery? I really don't understand that with YouTube. Like, yeah, if the content or the video I made was awful, maybe it's out of focus, and maybe it's really, really badly edited, or the information I gave was completely wrong, okay, fine. Put my hands up and say, yeah, that deserved a ton of dislikes. But just because it's a cheap-ass power supply, why would you give it dislikes? If you don't like a cheap power supply, don't watch the video. Do you know what I mean? YouTube is a weird thing like that. I know there's fanboys and like, oh, I'm never going to use any other power supply than a EVGA gold rated, whatever it is. Fine, that's absolutely fine. If that is the case, then why are you watching videos on cheap power supplies? Go and watch something else. Anyway. Skystalker says the Cylons are bad. See Battlestar Galactica. Very good point. They are an evil race or people. What for?
Oh no, I was thinking, okay.
Okay.
That Smokes did say, hey, I have an HP Pavilion gaming desktop. Are you able to search that?
No. Smokes are not really, probably not the time to do it either. Feel free to join our Discord and you can put the information there. We can try and work out what you've got in your system and try and work out what the problem is. But please don't spam the chat, or as ClickTechKev or any of those spanner holders will get upset and kick your ass. Nimrod Quimbus says, can Ryzen run Solitaire or Minesweeper? It can do, but not at very good frames per second. And if you win at the end when all the cards go, then you do get massive frame spikes then. Simon Arden says, Mike with an A520, Jesus. Hey, I love this board. I genuinely do love this board. Tristan G says, I love my Founders Edition 1070 Ti, it rocked. That's a great card. The 1070 is a great card. It still is now. James Miscellaneous says, yeah, we're not talking enough about Intel CPUs or Xe GPUs. They're awfully exciting products. Insert tumbleweed here. Intel really have come off the boil, haven't they? They really have. It's funny how things change so desperately. It's just been a massive swing from AMD being like with the FX range and even the early Ryzen processors. Even up until quite recently, Intel were always king. But now they just seem to have really lost the plot, and they're, yeah, they're not looking good. I'm not reading David Aiken's reply. Kenny D says it seemed like a cheap, good power supply as well. Yeah, the Cylon, I've got to be honest with you, I've used a few of the cheaper power supplies now of different brands, and I can't see anything wrong with it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not an electronics expert. I haven't stripped it down, I haven't desoldered the pads to see what's going on inside. All I can go by is my own personal use and my experiences. And actually, that Cylon power supply, I used it to do a BIOS update on the A520M. And I had it on the side, and in the video I said about you have to wait for the fan to spin up, and you should be able to hear the fan spin up. And it was like, it's moving, I can't hear it. It is so quiet, it is ridiculous. It is probably the quietest power supply that well, I'm trying to think of a quieter power supply, apart from one where the fans have actually died, but the fan was definitely spinning, it was super quiet. So for me, that is a bonus, because I have had a couple of power supplies, even my Rio Tori power supply, which I think is in the PC behind me, every now and then I can hear it kind of vibrating in the case. And for sure, which was the other one? There was another one recently where there was definitely some sort of resonance in the fan, but that thing has been brilliant. And even on this cheap IKEA desk where it's hollow, normally fans would resonate through this thing like crazy and it amplified the noise, but it stayed really, really quiet. So anyway, for lower end systems, I think those power supplies are absolutely fine. And I wouldn't recommend to buy one if I wouldn't buy it myself, or I wouldn't use it myself. And obviously I have used it myself, using it on these systems. So anyway, there we go. Ugly Bob says, yeah, if you leave a negative, at least say what has miffed you about the video. Surely not the southwestern accent. That's adorable. Bless you. Skystalker says, for the record, we do actually help people on Discord. It is an amazing place. And it is, because we have an amazing community, which you are all a part of. You are all my children now, as a certain Freddy Krueger said once.
It was Bill Gates.
No, that wasn't Bill Gates. He might be saying that soon. Nagy Roland says, do I need a B550 chipset for a 3600 CPU and a 5700, someone else's teeth in tonight, XT? No, you don't. You can use a B450, X470, X570. No, essentially you don't need PCI Express Gen 4 for that setup. It's beneficial in some ways, possibly, depending on your setup, but you don't necessarily need it. But having said that, if the B450 board is roughly the same price as the B550 version of it, it doesn't make sense to get the B450. As I've said before, the B550 chipset is newer, AMD are concentrating more on it, and also the architecture. If you've got a B450 board or an X370, no matter how good it is, it doesn't matter, because they're not going to support it forever. And obviously, as the product cycles go on, things get dropped off, and BIOS updates will only come out maybe if it's like a really sort of specific thing which fixes like a massive vulnerability in the actual system, or maybe adding CPUs. But there is only a limit, well, a certain limit I suppose, of what can be added to some of the older boards because of the smaller BIOS sizes. So just because it's an older board and it's on the AM4 platform doesn't guarantee compatibility. So I would always, if possible, if you're thinking future proofing, or you've got a relatively quick upgrade cycle, maybe a year, 2 years, I would probably go for what you can, which is modern. Even if it has less features, as long as it has the features you need, go with a slightly lesser spec board, but to get a newer one, purely for support and also updates. That's my personal opinion. Disagree with it if you want to, it's entirely up to you, I don't mind. That is entirely your prerogative. DDog666 says, who are Intel? Never heard of them. Nimrod says Bulldozer was garbage. It was, the weird thing about Bulldozer and the pile driver and subsequent releases, it did actually get better with age, which is ironic because most AMD stuff does. As Windows got the update so that it could take more threads into account and the scheduling, actually there was a noticeable increase or benefit of having one of those older FX processors, especially with some of the newer games using more threads, and weirdly video editing in some instances actually got better with FX processors. Yeah, poor old pile driver and Bulldozer. Siggy Johnson says, Intel, they just need to drop their prices 15%. I think if Intel did drop their prices significantly across the board, I think they would actually gain a lot more respect, because ultimately they don't have to. That's the thing. Intel makes so much money on everything else that they make that the PC kind of enthusiast side of the market is just like chicken feed. They don't really need it. If they lost the entire division tomorrow, it wouldn't really bother them. So they don't really need to do it, but it would be nice as a show of trust or a goodwill to enthusiasts and PC builders, and probably even like big companies who sell loads of the things like Dell. Obviously Dell pretty much at one point sold only Intel systems, so they're probably feeling it a little bit now. Very good. Captain Meets Adventure says, you know who does not do cheap? And that is Kerry Holzman. This is very true. That poor Kerry Holzman, he's been having a bit of a rough week, I think. He's been releasing some very, very odd videos. I am a little bit concerned for his well-being. He's kind of taking a bit of a break.
Let's all give the love to Kerry.
Yeah, send out some love and some best wishes to Mr. Holzman, because I think he needs it right now. He's in a weird place, I think.
Tell him you.
Yeah, tell him I sent you. Merce Ba says there's no future-proof in AMD. After this year, it is AM5. So we are led to believe. I don't think AM5 is going to be out as quick as initially projected. I think we're too close to Zen 3 to have Zen 4. I can't see it happening. I know they normally, because AMD, in their wisdom, they have two sets of teams running simultaneously. So the Ryzen 1 team were here, then you had the Ryzen 2000 series here. So two teams working kind of alongside each other, but they leapfrog each other. So when the 1000 series had finished, they jumpfrogged the 2000 and then started on the next lot and so on. So they just leapfrog each other. So you never have it where they're all working on one thing and they're like boom, boom, boom. So they're always leapfrogging. So rather than working on the next best thing, they're working on the next best thing. So there's always something coming in the pipeline now, which is something which Lisa Su has kind of brought in, which is actually so far has done really, really well. Zad says, then what's a good budget motherboard for the Ryzen 3100? Well, that one for a start. The review of that will be out on
probably Monday.
Monday or Tuesday. Surprising board, very surprising board. I thought the A520 was going to be rubbish, and I didn't see a place for it. And I think a lot of us actually were in the same boat. It's like, well, hang on, it's A520, it's just a replacement for the A320, which is not great. But actually, pleasantly surprised. You'll find out more about that in the full review. Markovsky says, I still have a FX8150 running fine in a machine. It's just DDR3 1600, so can't be expected to shine because memory is so important to AMD chips. The 8150 was actually a pretty decent chip. I quite like that one. Oh God, I've scrolled too far. What have I missed now? Siggy says if they dropped the prices, they would knock out AMD. The thing is, Intel don't want to destroy AMD, and AMD don't want to destroy Intel. They want to get the upper hand, but they don't want to destroy the company, because ultimately they are the kind of between Nvidia, AMD and Intel and kind of ARM, really they are the main players. So as soon as one of them gets kicked out of the game, it then becomes a bit of a monopolist thing, in which case then they get all kinds of investigation and all sorts of regulations and things they can and cannot do. So they don't want to kill the other one off, very much like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs back when it was Microsoft versus Apple. Apple was always there on the sideline, and Microsoft, at many opportunities, could have quite easily either bought Apple, killed them off completely, and obviously Apple now, with all that financial might, they could probably take on Microsoft if they really wanted to. But there's no point, because whichever one of them wins, they become dominant, and then like Microsoft did in the late 90s, early 2000s, when they had the antitrust things, where they knew they were in a dominant position and they were forcing manufacturers to install either Internet Explorer or certain types of software on new systems. So the whole kind of Monopolies and Mergers Commission do get involved with those sort of things. So they don't necessarily want the competition to be healthy, but they do have to have some form of competition, otherwise it gets into a really weird place. Kath's got her hand up.
Tristan's off now.
Tristan's off. Good night, Tristan. Thanks for joining us. Have a good sleep. Kev says, odd videos. PN, a river. PN, what's PN mean?
I don't know, that's what he meant with the riverside.
On a riverside holiday. I get it. Now it's all coming back. Total Recall.
I said that earlier. I forgot to say it.
Skystalker has asked an interesting and relevant question. Hey, that A520 motherboard, this one, does that take an R9 3950? Yes, it does take a Ryzen 9 3550X, and it will actually very slightly overclock it. Only very slightly. Buildzoid, well-known tinkerer, did a fantastic breakdown of this board actually with that processor. Unfortunately, I don't have that processor, so I cannot do the same thing. But even with the relatively limited VRM setup on this board, it managed to run the 3950X very well, which for a £50 board is pretty phenomenal. So obviously it's not designed for that chip at all, but it will take it, and it didn't kill it. There is actually stuff built into these Gigabyte boards now where they are kind of almost like self-limiting. So if there's any element of the system which is either getting hot or not doing what it should do, it kind of repairs itself, or tells the processor, no, don't be doing that. That is not good for me. So a super healthy board. That is why it's got the UD logo on it. So that stands for ultra durable, which I used to think was just marketing BS for, yeah, it's well made. But actually it does a lot more than that now. It is actually kind of intelligently looking after itself, which surprised me actually.
How much was it?
Kath says, how much was it? And the price was £35.02, delivered from CCL.
It was 53.
50, did I say 35?
Yeah.
That's dyslexic in my brain, where the numbers,
Your Brian.
my Brian is not computing the numbers. Not £35, it was £53, which is with the 5 and the 3 the other way round. Yeah, just under £55. CCL that was in the UK. Didn't pay anything for postage. It came through, they offered free postage on it. It was actually an open box, but even the full retail one of this is like £55 or £59, which is not a lot of money to ask for that sort of board. Blood says, I would say a Gigabyte B450 DS3H. They're always decent boards on a budget. Yeah, actually the B550 DS3H and the B550 Aorus Pro and Elite have actually got exactly the same VRM setup as this board. Same on semiconductors, they're the 4C10N and the 4C06N, so that's high and low side. 4+3 phase VRM, so 7 individual phases, which kind of blows the water out of pretty much every A320 board I've ever seen, and actually a lot of the B450 boards I've ever seen. Impressive little bit of kit, this. Somebody send me, says, so when is the Ryzen 5000 come in? Well, it is officially going to be announced on the 8th of October in Lisa Su's presentation, which I think is going to be about 5 o'clock here, UK time. until we actually have that presentation, we don't know what the actual product release date is. It could be the next week, it could be the next day, it could be the next month. We are completely in the dark. It'd be interesting to find out from some of our insider friends who work in the channel, that is like the channel which sends all the goods through, to see what they're hearing and what is the score. I would be really, really interested to know. And actually for a lot of people, it would be very handy to know because they can plan. So, well, if it's not going to be available till December, then I might as well just get what's out there now, regardless of what the announcement is. Anyway. Waldo135 says, Mike, I know this is a stupid question. Now, first of all, there is no such thing as a stupid question, only an easy answer. But I will go for it anyway. How do you connect the RGB fan controller to the power supply on for the GameMax F15? On the GameMax F15, if you take a look at the RGB hub, on the left and right hand side is where the PWM and the RGB cables go in. Out the top, you should find there's a cable which has got the PWM and the RGB header. On the other end, there's like a recess, and that's where you plug in your SATA connection, and that will keep it all powered up. Yay, I did a thing. Finally he gets it. Sorry, Kev. Bit late on that one. Simon Arden says, haha, you went to CCL again. I was regretting it. The moment after I ordered it, I was like, why have I ordered from CCL again? Am I absolutely stupid? But actually, fair dues, touch wood, it's been okay. I did install Windows on it. I put the processor and everything on it, had it all running. Went into the BIOS, checked it all out, and actually did a few stress tests. Actually did a little bit of overclocking on the 3100, which is, for an A520 board, just still blows my mind that you can actually do that. And it ran really well. I was very impressed. Merst Ba says, is that a Corsair 500D case behind you? No, it's a 465X. Bluz says, the B550 you have there is a great board. That one is good. Yeah, they're both, the Phantom Gaming 4 and the Pro VDH are really good. But they need processors. So come on, AMD, at least give us something tangible to hold on to. Wouldn't it be nice on October the 9th to be able to go on Amazon and order a new processor? That would be amazing. Irie Wolfman says, shall we all watch the AMD live stream with you? That's actually not a bad idea. Siggy says, October the 20th release date is what I hear. We have, yeah, I have heard that. Red Gaming did mention that as well. There is a few speculations that October the 20th is the release date for the Ryzen, whatever they're going to be, 5000 series, which would be very, very awesome. Simon Arden says, I'll find out for you, Mike. Thank you, Simon. We'll appreciate that. Oh dear, sorry, I was just reading Captain Meat's Adventures. Actually, I never watched Blake 7, so I couldn't tell you. Shall we watch the AMD live stream with you? If I can, and I'm available, if you want to watch the live stream with me, and I'll do some sort of commentary on it, if that's something that you guys would be interested in, then who am I to say no? I am actually genuinely excited, but you know what it's like with these releases? It's always like, you're already hyped up and it's like, oh yeah, it's going to be great, it's going to be great. And they just take their slow ass time about it, and then you have to wait to the very end, and they're like, and the really good news is,
we're leaving it to an extra.
and it's, yeah, and they hit you with it, like the downer. It's like, I've just spent half an hour or an hour watching this stream, and I feel more depressed now. Yeah, do a stream of you watching the stream. Okay, maybe we'll do that. Kenny D says, what's the point of even overclocking CPUs anymore? The performance games seem to be getting smaller now for overclocking. Sorry for the repost. That's fine, absolutely fine, because I missed it the first time around. Yeah, there is, funny enough, excuse me, on our Discord this week, some of us have been playing around with CTR, which is the Ryzen overclocking utility. And some people have actually had some really good results out of it. Me personally, I haven't really played with it too much, so not really, I can't really say yes or no. But there are seemingly still some benefits you can get out of these AMD processors. So I wouldn't say overclocking is dead. It's less successful than it used to be, but I think it still has a place in the market and is also worth looking at. Skystalker says Mike is in a processor withdrawal. Quick cath, he needs a fix. I do need that processor fix. Waldo says compare the GameX F15 and the Corsair Spec Delta Carbide series as they're a similar price. I don't like the Spec Delta series, I've got to be completely honest with you. If they sent me one free of charge for review, then I would certainly take a look at it, but otherwise I wouldn't spend my own money on it, which probably is kind of sums up what the review would be like, I think. So yeah, I bought this, so you didn't have to. DDog666, what's the problem with CCL? I just bought a Lanley mesh case and it arrived yesterday without issues. CCL generally, more times than not, things are absolutely fine, but it's when you do get a problem, that is when CCL really do fall into the kind of the crap category. Their customer service isn't particularly, let's say, proactive.
It was in lockdown.
Yeah, in fairness, well, yeah, but we still are, so in theory.
It's like
it may have improved, but it was pretty dire at one point. And actually, I'm still waiting for a phone call back about one of the fans on the F15, which was damaged in transit. So that was, how long ago did I do the GameX F15 review? Was it like 4 months? 5 months?
Yeah, could be.
So 5 months without a reply. I'm not going to keep on chasing up. I've chased them up 3 times already. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll get back to you. Oh yeah, we'll get in contact. We'll sort something out. Bullshit. You won't. You're going to put the phone down, you're going to pick up the next customer, and you're going to fob them off like you just fobbed me off. Yeah, well, they're not even answering the phone, so yeah, they'll go along to the next email or chat. Merce says the best I could get out was 5% out of my 3700X on an Asus X570 Tough. The higher end processors, obviously you are going to get diminishing returns because the higher end chips are binned higher accordingly because that is what they're rated at, and between the 3700, 3800, 3900, frequency wise, there's not a lot in it. When you go to the lower end processors like the Ryzen 5s, Ryzen 3s, they're the ones that really will be quite good with overclocking. The 3100 is a beast for overclocking. You can push that thing so high, it's ridiculous. I don't know why it doesn't actually get more loving. I know it's only got the dual CCX thing going on, so
Simon Arden just
what's that? We still doing this build?
Yeah.
Simon Arden, are we still doing this build? I can't remember. You'll have to refresh my memory on that one.
You were going to build a computer for him.
Oh yeah, I was going to build a... Yeah, of course.
Brian.
I have many people emailing me and messaging me all day long, so I do forget things. Yeah, sure, yeah. Yes, I would quite happily do a Simon Arden based build. David Aiken, Mike, thoughts on the new B450 boards by Asus could be a sign of a wider role of support for 5000 series chips. Yeah, that kind of caught me by surprise. Asus, for those of you that don't know already, Asus are actually releasing some new B450 motherboards into the channel, which seems like really weird. Especially considering most of their B450 boards were pretty useless. Useless is probably the wrong word. They weren't anywhere near as good as the Gigabyte or MSI offerings. So whether they're trying to... Actually, I don't even know why they would do it. If they're trying to do one up on the MSI B450 Tomahawk or Gaming X, why? Why bother? It just seems like a bizarre thing to do. Yeah, I don't get that at all. I can't see what benefits they would have. The only thing I could see that they could add would be better VRMs, possibly addressable RGB support, which was desperately missing from a lot of their boards. Almost all of them, actually. If they did B450 Strix with addressable RGB and better VRMs, it would be an amazing board, which is what they should have done the first time round. Actually, yeah, that's Irie Wolfman's just put there. The 5700 XT paired with a 5700X might get a bit confusing. Yeah, I don't think I've ever known a time before where the processors and the graphics cards have been on the same kind of type of number. There's often been it when it's gone like AMD have got one motherboard or one processor and Nvidia have got another thing. But from the same company to have the same numbers on two different product lines is really, really weird. Which is why I think they might completely change the naming scheme on October the 8th, which will be very interesting. Waldo says, what's wrong with the Corsair Spec Delta Carbide series? That's quite a long one. You might have to ask me that on Discord. Nagy Roland says, Mike, the BenQ Zowie XL2411P monitor still worth it in 2020 without FreeSync, G-Sync, 144 Hz, 1 millisecond. I'll be honest with you, when it comes to gaming monitors, I am so far away from the either need or the want to use one. If I was given one, it'd be great to use, but I don't think I would prioritize frame rates or response times for my personal use. I play games very periodically, and for me 75 Hz is more than adequate. Mostly what I do is video editing or researching, so having a ridiculously high refresh rate for me personally doesn't make a great deal of difference. I'm more concerned with the color reproduction and the quality of the image and the pixel density, all that kind of stuff. So I would much rather go for a 1440p monitor with an IPS panel with a moderate refresh or like a variable refresh rate than I would a high refresh rate. I understand there's a lot of you out there that play FPS games and competitive style games and every frame helps. So I totally get it. Whether or not it's worth it, for me personally, I would say no. I don't know the actual price of that particular monitor at the moment, so I would be kind of shooting in the dark really to actually nail that one. Sorry. Merce says, if Ryzen comes out with the CPU refresh next year, it'll be very confusing. Yeah, the 5700 XT and the 5700X. Yeah, that is a little bit weird. Ivory Wolfman says, my overclocker's delivery had damaged Haribo. Yeah, that's another thing CCL don't do. They don't put any sweeties in, which is a bit tight. Oh yeah, I just noticed Kath saying that Arctic also sends sweets sometimes. Yes, Arctic Cooling do actually send sweets also.
They sent us an advent calendar last year.
Yeah, we had an advent calendar at Christmas, which was amazing. I thought it was just like a little cardboard cutout thing, and I opened it up and it's like, there's actual chocolates inside, oh my god. Nice. Markovsky says 3100 or 3300X on that A520, Mike's budget power supply, the Techware Forge M case and 16 gigs of 3200 RAM, and you got yourself a whizzy budget machine. That is essentially where I was going with it. I've got the Techware Forge M, I've also got the Colink Citadel, and I've got two Micro ATX boards. I really wanted another processor, maybe the 3300X, or it might actually be really nice to see what the new AMD chips are, especially their entry level one, and then have the 3100X on one board, have the 5100X on the other, or 5100, and actually compare the budget and systems. That might be quite an interesting thing to do. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves because we may not see one of those until a long, long time ahead. David Egan says, yeah, the 5700 XT with a 5700X on an X570 board. Inception level naming. It is. What else could you have that was on there? X570. No. Shame they don't do SSDs or RAM. They could have 5700 megahertz RAM as well. Colonel Gussain. Hopefully I've said that right. Hello sir, I just bought a 3300X recently. Good choice. And I own a 2400 megahertz RAM actually the RAM was from my previous build, so is it okay if I pair my 2400 MHz RAM with the 3300X? Yeah, it's not ideal, but there's no reason why you shouldn't do. The 3300X, ideally, if you can, would love DDR3600, but basically, if you've got RAM, ultimately it comes down to the thing. If you've got the RAM, it's pointless to throw it away. If you don't have the money to replace the RAM, or you haven't got some way of selling off your existing RAM to someone else, then go for it. Most 2400 MHz RAM will overclock pretty well. I did a video ages ago on the Corsair LPX. I think it was 2133 RAM I had, and I got up to like 2933 from 2133, and it was absolutely rock solid stable. It wouldn't quite get to that magic 3000 MHz, which I really wanted to push it to, but I just couldn't find the right settings on the board to get it there. So you'll probably find your 2400 RAM, maybe even with a little bit of extra cooling, you'll probably be able to jack it up to, well, 2666 easily. 2800 probably, 2933 I would probably push for. If you can get a little bit of overclock on it, it would be awesome. Gary says, I would never buy a monitor without seeing it. Specs can be compared, but colour rendering must be seen. Just bought a new monitor, it's amazing the difference in colour. Now that is a, sorry, just seen Carl the Jackal, Advent Calendar, YouTuber perks. Yeah, it was, unfortunately.
Not unfortunately.
Well, fortunately. Unfortunately for them, fortunate for us. Yes, monitor-wise, if you're ever going to buy a monitor, this is where things like Amazon Prime are amazing. Amazon Prime is worth its weight in gold when it comes to monitors, because you can buy a monitor off Amazon Prime, get it, try it, for a few days. You've got up to 30 days to try it before you can send it back. What a perfect way of doing it. For the price of Amazon Prime, if you do a lot of shopping, in COVID times at the moment, you can buy basically most of your food on there. For us in the UK, now you've got like Safeway or whatever it is, or not Safeway, was it?
Morrison's.
Morrison's, that's the one, same
Back
place
in the
kind of thing.
70s.
So Morrison's, now you can do shopping online. We buy pretty much everything from Amazon these days. There's very few things that we actually go out into the real world to buy, apart from maybe fuel.
Instead.
That is pretty much it. Tesco and Amazon, that's it. That's our life covered. So for what we pay for Amazon a year, what, £70 or something, the amount of things we get delivered for free and the amount of kind of that level of security. So I can go out, I can buy some cases, like that Techwear case. I could still send that back now, even though I'm totally happy with it. That is the benefit of Amazon Prime. If you don't like it, you've got 30 days to send it back, which I potentially could do, but that's what I mean. For a monitor, it's really good to get it, to see it, what it's actually like. You can go into stores, you go into like your Best Buy, Walmart, PC World, whatever it is, and you can look at a bank of monitors and go, well, that one looks a bit washed out, that one looks nice, that one's okay, but you don't know how long they've been on display, you don't know how well they've been looked after, you don't know if John has been in there with his sticky fingers all over the place and they've cleaned it with a Brillo pad, you just don't know. So Amazon Prime for me, especially for a monitor, I don't think I would buy a monitor anywhere else other than Amazon Prime. I think I've bought at least 3, maybe 4 of Amazon Prime, just for that reason, that I wanted to try them, check them out, make sure they're absolutely what I want it to be. Regardless of the reviews, like every monitor is different. It's very rare you get 2 identical monitors. Actually, you've probably done it yourself. If you've got a multi-monitor setup, you bought 2 at exactly the same time from the same place, you can unbox them both, put them both next to each other, and there will be subtle differences in brightness, color, all those kinds of things. So yeah, Amazon Prime for me is awesome for that. Ivory Wolfman says, I'll order a 242 cooler, 2 140 Bionics fans from Arctic. My girls will enjoy the sweets. Oh, there's always a plus side.
Did you do Rin?
What's that?
How is the... Oh, where is it?
Who is it? Someone's asked a question. I haven't seen it. Calf's getting upset that I haven't answered.
How is the 3070 launch looking, guys?
3070.
I'm sure there was a question before that.
I'm not sure.
Oh no, it's Mr. Zero. What is the difference between the i9K and the
Oh.
i9?
I don't know.
Oh,
Is his
you
answer?
are.
Gary Haig says other shops are available. They are, but they don't have affiliate links. Well, some of them do actually. Newegg definitely does. Oakley Bob says the 3300X is on Amazon for £120 at the moment. Calf, hit it. Get me one of those now. I need it for tomorrow. Joking.
Joking?
Yeah. No, go on. No, don't. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's too close to the launch. Wouldn't that be awful now to get a 3300X at a relatively good price and then for them to say, oh, yay, the 5300X is coming out and it's going to be £120 and it's got an extra 2 cores. Damn it! That'd be just my luck. Although, if I got it from Amazon, I can send it back.
Who was that bloke whose sister bought the graphics card? Because I'll probably be like her and get you something really
Oh, yeah.
wrong.
Rin says, hey, oh, literally built my first rig 2 days ago. Awesome. Sky Stalker says, can you order beer for delivery in the UK? Hell yes. It is definitely a thing. You can order other things as well. Recently, one of our kind benefactors, Seam at Night, actually sent me a bottle of whiskey, which was very, very kind of him. Do love that very much. Very good for sore throats and also COVID. So if you have COVID symptoms, bottle of whiskey, job's a good one. Send some to Trump, he needs it.
But they do ID you.
Yeah, you do get ID'd by the delivery driver, even if you go there with like a full beard, grey hair. They're like, are you 18? So, dude, I haven't been 18 for like 30 years.
And then they ruin it going, we've got to ask everyone, sorry.
Somebody asked about the 3070 launch. Yeah, 3070 has been delayed now until October 29th is the official announcement. Whether it's going to be available after that, who knows? Oasis says, I wish we had Micro Center in the UK. Yeah, the UK definitely needs some type of decent PC store, like a national one, rather than just like eBuyer, CCL,
We have got smart
overclockers.
computers.
Yeah, smart computers are too expensive. They're way expensive. A good price retail store, that's what we want. David Aiken says, don't do it, Mike. Remember the 2060 KO. I'm actually really happy with the 2060 KO. That I thought was going to bite me in the backside, but actually turned out I genuinely do like that card. And for video editing, it is an absolute beast. Yeah, Xbox Gamer, I'm with you. I'm feeling that completely. I wish we had shops where you could just walk in and pick up all your parts to build a PC. Wouldn't that be just amazing? How did we get to the point where PC World in the UK didn't become PC World? It became more of a electronics go-to for basically vacuums and lawnmowers. I don't think they do lawnmowers. I think I just made that up. But I like the thought of it.
They do fridges.
They do fridges, yeah. And coffee machines, which are always good.
Cameras. And lots of laptops to put our playlists on.
Oh, Irie Wolfman says no stock on Amazon though, right? For the 3300X, damn it.
Believe in fate.
Yeah. James Miscellaneous says Trump's going to be fine, he told me himself. Guys, if you haven't seen already, do me a favour, go over to James's site, James Miscellaneous, and yeah, check out today's video. It's quite humorous. You will enjoy it. Gary Haig says, I don't drink anymore, but then again, I don't drink any less. Ba-boom. Ricardo says, hey Mike, there you go, Mike's hardware store. Do you know what? I would genuinely love to have a PC store. I would absolutely love it. I loved it before. I've done it a couple of times working in stores and doing tech stuff. The sales, imagine what it'd be like if I had a PC store now. I could order in all the parts, do all the unboxings, all the reviews, and still do the store. It would be amazing. Why did I not do it when I was at M Squared? I could have been the UK Linus if I'd have started back then. Damn. Missed out there. It's amazing when I think this is actually a very good analogy for life in general. You never really know what you've got at the actual time. It's not until you look back with hindsight you think, shit.
The BBC.
yeah, I suppose, yeah. Zesty Gaming says, I play and stream from the same PC with a 2700X. Is it worth an upgrade? Not really. 2700X is a pretty beastly processor, 8 core, 16 threads. Actually, really is probably one of the best shouts for gaming and streaming. Most games really rely more so on graphics card. Also, if you've got an Nvidia card, it's going to be utilising the NVEnc, hopefully, within OBS if you're using that, or Streamlabs or whatever. So, yeah, I would stick with it.
Pre-immediate?
What else? How many?
Pre-immediate.
Pre-immediate. Hey Mike, remember the person that bought a Ryzen 3 1200G and RX 480 PC off you? That was me. I have upgraded the PC to a Ryzen 5 2600 and a GTX 1070. Thank you for starting me off on my PC journey. Nice to hear from you. That's pretty cool. Remember, I'm trying to think, the Ryzen 3 1200 and the RX, that was in the Rio Toro case, wasn't it? The CR 400, I think, the black and red one. You have to let me know if it is. I'm sure that was the one. Yeah, there was I think I had a weird thing with one of the memory sticks.
Oh.
There was some issue with that. I vaguely remember it. God, that was a long time ago. But I'm glad you, hey, that's a nice upgrade from that, from the Ryzen 1200 to the Ryzen 2600 and the 1070. That's nice. Like it. Oh, thanks for letting us know. That's awesome. Carl the Jackal says, Best Buy failed big time in the UK though. I didn't even know they kind of started. Simon Arden says, PC World is Dixon Group. That's why, pal. I used to work for the exclamation mark, bleep, bleep things. Yeah, it used to always crack me up because you had, in the UK, there was two big chain stores. You had Currys and you had Comet, or Currys and Dixon's. And you'd get people go to Currys and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to shop in Dixon's, or I'm not going to shop in there because they're assholes or whatever. Then you get the same people going to the other shop and say, oh yeah, I'm never shopping with Currys, they're bloody awful. They were owned by the same people. It's the same company, just two different companies. It's like an illusion. Dear.
A bit like most of the world now.
Yeah. OA says, can you review Govi's Dream Color LED strips, please? Send them to me, I will happily review them. Or you tell them to send me them. Actually, Govi's, I'm sure they asked me if I wanted to see them. They did.
Where is it?
I've done those.
Who?
Yeah. OA says, can you review Govi's Dream Color LED strips? I have. I did do that. Thanks for watching. Mark Offsey says, they don't want you to make your own of anything, Mike. They want you to buy theirs. Yes, this is true. I don't know. Nagy Roland says, Mike, do you have an idea how to connect the RGB switcher button from the case to the motherboard? Generally you don't. It normally goes the other way around. So the switcher button is normally to kind of circumvent the motherboard. So the switcher button would normally go from the switch itself to a separate RGB controller. Hopefully that answers your question.
Pre-immediate's got to go now.
Oh, pre-media. Oh yeah, he says one of the memory sticks broke. I don't really know how. Got to go now. Have a good rest of the weekend. Nice one. Thanks for letting us know. Actually, I'm glad you're still into the PC stuff and enjoying it. That's brilliant. A happy customer who hasn't been electrocuted by a cheap power supply. Awesome. Ah, dear. ClickTech Kev says, Comet is back to online only. Ooh. Xbox Gamer says, my oldest PC has a 4700K and a 980 Ti, still able to play the latest games. That is quite often the case. A lot of, there was somebody actually did whether it was a video or an article recently saying that the thing that AMD and Intel don't want you to know. And the thing is, even a processor now which is kind of like 7 or 8 years old, in most cases, like some of the Sandy Bridge and newer processors, they're absolutely fine for gaming, as are most of the graphics cards as well. But we all do like to have the latest and greatest, and we're all being kind of force-fed this kind of 4K, 8K thing at the moment, which I personally don't go along with. I'm not going into all that hype. 1440p for me is absolutely fine.
I can't even see that with those eyes.
Yeah, my eyes, I can't even see it anyway. It might as well be 720p for God's sake. Bluro vision.
Cat vision.
The cat's perked up. He's heard 1440p. Anyway, yeah, 4K for me, yeah, whatever. Unless I've got like a 48-inch telly, then 4K makes sense. Maybe a 32-inch TV or 32-inch monitor, yeah, 4K kind of makes sense because the pixel density. But 24, 26, 27-inch monitor, 1440p is absolutely fine. And most people can't tell the difference between it anyway. Nagy Bruno says the good old AMD Vishira days. Yeah, I do kind of miss it. I really do. David Aitken says hardware requirements get pushed by the consoles. In the next few years, I expect to see a lot of older gear from the past 6 to 8 years drop off for new titles. Poor old Ricardo. I think actually that is going to be a thing because the game loading times are going to be. They've really pushed hard with this game loading times thing. I don't know if you've seen any of the new Xbox content, but a lot of it is focused not so much on the actual power of the console, but most reviewers or early reviewers are saying the biggest improvement they're noticing is the game loading times. So if game loading times need to be faster, because obviously they'll take advantage of it and it'll become the norm. So they always use up what they can. So that's going to make it so that PCs are going to have to load faster. So that means basically hard disk drives are going to be nil. SSDs, original SSDs, are probably going to start falling off with the 500 megabytes transfers. So it's going to be basically NVMe storage is going to be the kind of the de facto standard. You're not going to be able to use SSDs or mechanical drives for most games because it just will load so slowly. It'll be horrendous. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting time. Talking of interesting time, this has been an interesting time, and we should probably wrap things up now. So I don't think there's a stream tonight on Akia Shadow's Twitch, but feel free to go over there and drop him a like and a sub and all that kind of good stuff anyway. For most of you, hopefully you've enjoyed yourself tonight. If you have, don't forget to please smash that like button on the way out to try and offset the negativity of the dislike button. And if you can, drop back later and leave a couple of comments in the comment section. As most of you know, I do try and answer as many comments as humanly possible, if not all of them. At the moment, I go through, I think I've missed out some from about 11 months ago. But otherwise, I think I'm pretty much up to date. So feel free to drop me a message. I do read them, and if I don't read them, Kath reads them and then forces me to read them. So
if they're complicated,
yeah. If it's really complicated, she passes it on to me. Otherwise, Kath will give you a thumbs up, a like, and a smile, and a nice positive response. Hopefully. Unless she hasn't had her Bakewell tarts, in which case she might be a little bit pissed off. Anyway, thank you all for being such an amazing community. Genuinely, Kath and I and the cats are extremely grateful for you. If you want to carry on being a part of this community after the stream's ended and after the videos have stopped rolling, you can jump onto our Discord and have a chat and hang out with the rest of us. So, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. Oh, I didn't say thank you all for the super chats as well. Greatly appreciated. So hopefully next time I'll see you will be in Monday's video releases, but if you want to do another live stream on the 8th for the AMD launch, if I can do it, let me know in this video. What is the 8th?
Thursday, I think.
Thursday the 8th, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it should be. So I should be okay for that. So if you want to watch the AMD release at the same time as me and get my response and my reaction, let me know in the comment section and maybe we'll make that happen. But yeah, thanks all for joining in. Thanks for the super chats, and we will see you in the very next video. If I can get this stream to end. This always confuses me. Why have I got to press it twice? I've pressed it once. Thanks everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you in the next video.